Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. And welcome everyone. We are so glad to join you in our conversation today, because this is where we merge with the science and the metaphysical. And actually, this is something that we've discussed a lot on this show, and how we literally can change our DNA. We can activate new DNA, dormant DNA. My guest today is a scientific researcher on DNA. Charan Sudhar is here with us today for a beautiful discussion and a group process. Charan, thank you. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and I really appreciate being here and with your audience, because the resonance of them, and I've been feeling the energy, and it's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, we are very pleased to have you, and this conversation is pretty interesting because it really is an empowering situation when we can literally change our biology, and that's really what epigenetics is. So let's first talk about you. You really are a scientific researcher. You look into the science, but there's also the spiritual side, the higher consciousness side. Can you share what brought you into this field of research?
Well, it started when I was a young girl, to be honest, and when the AIDS epidemic came out, excuse me, one second. Excuse me. When the AIDS epidemic came about, and there was a lot of discrimination to the people that were suffering. And as a little girl, that really hit home for me, because I felt that there was a way out for them, but I didn't know what. And so I wrote on this little piece of paper that, when I grow up, I want to be able to heal people with AIDS. And it wasn't exactly what I did, but it awakened a passion in me to move forward in a way that would help people heal. And I didn't know how it was going to show up either, but I knew I was going the science route. So I went ahead and did my bachelor's degree in science and microbiology, and then my master's in human genetics, and I worked for 13 years in the laboratory, working with DNA, mainly with blood disorders. And my job was to extract the DNA from the cells of the patient and look at what changes in the DNA that they had that were creating their physical issue. And that information was then given to the consultants, and they would then tailor their treatment, the medical treatment, with that information. So, looking for those changes in the DNA was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's like you've got so many letters, and you've got to find the particular letter that's a lot of letters that's changed. And so that was where I was, but there was still this feeling in me that, it wasn't enough. It wasn't that little girl that had that vision. I wasn't doing it yet. And so then came about, Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief. Someone gave it to me. And that was a turning point for me, because when something's not full circle and then it becomes full circle, and it's like everything just tied in with everything. And it was one of those moments which was like a big, huge moment for me. So that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing.
Well, really kudos to you for that. It's really beautiful. Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. You know, you started as a little girl, very compassionate, wanting to change, knowing that there was something. Bruce Lipton, he actually has said that he went to science because he did not believe in God. So he went to science, and actually he came full circle back to God when he went very deep in his studies. So for you as well, you always had this something within yourself, right? You knew there was something for you to do, and you went that science route to discover it. And then when he came in with it, wow, beautiful. And so this is the work that you do today.
I do, and speaking of the consciousness aspect, it was something that I always grew up with. Because from an early age I was taught to meditate. My parents meditated, and they did yoga, and so I was exposed to that throughout. So I had that element there, and this is why that little girl. I mean, I just knew there was another way, and for me it was really, now when I look back, it was really to help people. At that time I thought it was to help people heal, but now I see that what I thought was to heal people was actually to help people create the miracles within themselves. And there's a distinction, because healing is disempowering in the sense that there's somebody outside of you that's going to do that for you. But in this way, it's actually awakening that potential within someone who has it already, and letting them recognize that they have it. And then the healing happens. It's like if you cut yourself, it's inevitable that you're going to heal. It's the same for anything else, whether it's a condition, a physical condition, or something to do with, relationships, or self-esteem, or whatever it is. If it comes from the inside out, the DNA out, with that essence of that quantum miraculous, it will heal.
Yes, and I love that connection with consciousness when we have this awareness of the totality of who we are. Even quantum university studies have shown there is a healing, and it could be seen as a miracle, but what you are finding is that it is from the DNA out. So before we get there and talk about the miracle body, can you explain, in your research and studies in the laboratory of DNA, you said it was like when you were looking for the changes, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. And now, given the newest research on epigenetics, what can you say literally happens to the DNA as you've seen it?
So let's talk about genetics, and then I'll come to answering that question, because we need to understand what the basics of that is. So DNA, we inherit that from our parents. So there's one part of the DNA, half of it's from our mom, and half is from dad. And the different changes that are there, the old genetics has said that when we inherit that, we are bound to that, and that's the way it's going to be. There's nothing you can do about it. But the new way, epigenetics, is empowering, because it's not about what you inherit physically as the DNA, but there's the influence of our environment on the DNA that's actually creating the expression of the DNA. So the way if we think of it, it's DNA as being the almost like Christmas lights, and there's all these different colors there, and they all light up differently, and the way they light up will create a different kind of mood or show or ambience, if you want to call it that. And the way that epigenetics is that it's the influence of things outside of it that will create the different lighting up of that DNA. Whereas the old way is it's only going to be this one way, and that's it. So then the question is, what is influencing the DNA? And there are different things, so there's a lot of research that's been done on epigenetics, which basically says that, the foods you eat or the environment, the toxins that, are in the environment will impact the DNA, which is true. But this is going further than that, because the energy that we have in our body that's making it up is also influencing the DNA. And so with the DNA, if you think of the Christmas lights, with all this other, the energy on the outside, which I'll come to, is influencing the DNA in the sense that one gene means one sentence, or think of it like a sentence that reads, one line of a story or something. That is going to be, can be read 30,000 different ways. So it's not just one way. And this is huge, because the old way is, it's only one sentence. You only get one sentence out of that. But the new way is 30,000. So what is it that's influencing and creating that possibility? So, one of the things is that from 0 to 7, Bruce Lipton talks about this a lot, that we have the belief systems that we've created during that time. Say, for instance, a mom says to her child, he drops something, and she says, "Oh, you stupid child." Now, that may not, she doesn't mean that he's stupid, but he takes it on, or he or she takes it on as being that he's stupid. And so without even knowing it for the rest of their life, they feel like they've got something that's holding them back. And that's a crude example, but just to give you the gist of that. So we have that's creating a perception in their life that they can't get past. And then you've got also ancestral energies that get passed down, and there's a lot of research to show that this is the case, because it's hard for our mind to actually say, "Oh, really? Like what my ancestors went through is impacting me now on my DNA?" Well, yeah, because they did a study with mice. And they would get the mice to smell cherry blossom. And as the mice were smelling that, they would give them a small shock. And the mice developed anxiety as a result. So every time they were going to smell the cherry blossom, they had an anxiety response. And so they mated those mice, and then they had the pups and the grandpups. And both of those generations had not been, exposed to shock with the cherry blossom. But when they were exposed to the cherry blossom, they immediately had an anxiety response. And so this is just one experiment that has shown that there's something that's getting passed down. And this, if you think about in history, how many things have happened. We've had the Holocaust, we've had 9/11, we've had genocide, there's been wars. I mean, countless. We only have to look at the history books to see all the stuff that's happened. And all of these things are influencing wherever we've come from ancestrally is influencing the DNA. So the work with epigenetics is really to get to what those influences are without really knowing what they are, because we don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a simple process for that, and I'll share that afterwards. But it's once we can access that information. Think of it like this. So if we think of our body as it has the soul in it, and the soul, if you think of it like a flame, almost like a little sun inside us. And this sun is representing the essence of our truth, our well-being, our abundance, all of that. And what happens is that these other ancestral traumas, the energy of that, the energy of our belief system, it's like clouds that shroud, are around us. And so this little flame is still burning, is still shining, but it's having to go through these clouds. And the DNA, if you think of it, the DNA is responding to this energy of this sun inside of us, of well-being, but it's getting refracted by these clouds. So think of it like wearing sunglasses with different colors, and it shifts our perception of life. And so this is what's happening. And so the work is really to get into the frequency of that sun inside of us, which is the miracle, which is always present in everyone. And once you amplify that frequency, what happens is those clouds will dissipate. And again, like when I said earlier, healing would mean that you're looking for something to heal. In this way, we're not looking to heal. We're looking to just increase the frequency of that which is already in someone. And then whether these clouds come from the ancestors or whether it's coming from something that's in early childhood, it doesn't really matter because it's a frequency, and so that's how it is.
It is a frequency. All right. The miracle is always present within us. This is a deep connection to source that is always there. And so connecting into that frequency is really what it's all about, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Changing from the inside out, opening up to the frequency. Okay. Well, that was beautifully explained.
So I just want to add that, I always say to people that the change is from the DNA out. And the reason is because when people tune into that frequency, what happens is that the past no longer dictates their present moment for whatever situation they're going through. And then, in my own work with clients, I've people have such huge shifts. Like, for example, I had somebody who had arthritic pain, and she wasn't able to, stand up easily, and she was in pain. But after 30 minutes of that, she was able to stand up without pain, and it was kind of shocking to her system, to the mind, because it's like, well, 1 minute I was here, and 1 minute now I'm over here, and that's how quick things can be, because it is a frequency match. Rather than looking to heal, if we're healing, then we'll be there forever. Because if you think about, quantum physics, we know that what we focus on is what we'll get. And if we continue to look at finding what is wrong and why things are going wrong, then we'll continue to kind of create that, cycle of things being wrong and things showing up that way. And I did that, I worked with different modalities and they were fine when I was doing them because it was where we were and whatever it was. But it's just got simpler and simpler and simpler and it really is, just accessing that, which is the all-knowing ultimate place of infinite possibilities. And as soon as we connect with that, then our cells will match up to that.
That is true alignment. I love it. Okay, so we really are attuning our body to universal frequencies of consciousness, of source frequency consciousness. And I love how as soon as we do that, we're literally unwiring from the past, right? It's literally the past is wired in our body. We actually, as you've explained, it's the DNA that we come into. So the more that we can connect, I'm getting chills as I say this, the more that we can connect in that way, it's that vibrancy within our body, the energy within our body, source energy, that actually turns us all on. So we are changing that way. Have you seen people turn, you mentioned the lady with the pain, but you are so convinced in this because you've seen it so much.
Yes, absolutely. There's, just the other day there was another client and she was in total pain. Out of 10, she was a 10. And after 30 minutes, this is like for years, she was stressed out at work. She was told she had adrenal fatigue. She had pain in the body, and loads of, she said to me, I'm just slumped over. It's like I have no energy. And after the 30 minutes, her voice had changed. She was, I think it was a 2 out of 10, maybe a 1. And she was in that place where it was like I said, it's like when the past no longer holds us, it's like we shift timelines, and that becomes our new reality. And this is what happens. There's a, speaking of frequencies, there's a Russian scientist, Peter Gorev, and he has done some work on frequencies and all this, and he calls it wave genetics. And he has had salamander eggs and frog eggs, and he did this experiment where he took the frequency of the salamander eggs and then he converted that into an MP3 and played it to the frog eggs. I don't know how long he did it for, but when those frog eggs were hatched, they were salamanders. And so I love sharing that story because just it's the mind, we have so many constraints with our beliefs in the mind. And when we hear things like that, we're like, whoa, is that really possible? Like, I mean, that's the DNA. Like, what, how? Well, this is exactly it. I have a couple of other interesting cases where, sorry, in my throat.
You have a salamander in your frog throat. I'm just kidding. Okay. You're clearing for our collective here. Okay, go ahead, because we're going to get to some frequencies with you too in this episode. This is fascinating.
Well, I had two women, separate women, separate mothers, separate times, who came to me years apart, who both had babies that were diagnosed with Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And this is around 3 months, both of them, when, they do the tests and they found that out. Anyway, we worked with them, and what I usually do is, with the cases like that is, I work in the quantum field, and go beyond time and space to where the egg and the sperm, even before conception happened. And so we did some work on that and other things, and both those babies were born normal. And the doctor, one of them, said, these tests are usually 99% accurate. And he said, you must be the 0.1%, or 0.01%, sorry. And this is, I think one of them is, about probably 12, and now the other one's a toddler, probably. But that's, yeah, I mean, this is it. It's possible. It's possible because what constraints are we putting in, beliefs are we putting in our mind that say it's not,
Mhm. Yes, exactly. And quantum physics is actually getting closer and closer to explaining all of this, and it's quite fascinating, right? We are the observer and the wave and the particle, and how the possibilities are there. But what I want to circle back and focus on are these frequencies, because that really is amazing that you could put in frequencies in an MP3 and play it to the frog eggs, and that affects the frog eggs into salamanders. That's amazing. That is so amazing. So when you're working with frequencies, and this is healing, we're going to do a group process here for all of us, but this is real. This is not just make-believe. And so, again, this is our presence, and it's consciousness. And you're actually getting a PhD in integrative medicine on this subject. That in itself is pretty amazing. So let's talk about the frequencies. What are the frequencies? Are these always around us? Do you attune to them? What's going on?
So when I actually heard Peter Gore, the Russian scientist, speak in a conference a couple of years ago, that's what inspired me to, he creates them with a device, and I was like, well, we as humans are frequency machines. We with our thoughts create frequencies. So everybody's doing it. Mm-hmm. It's just, can we do it consciously? That's the question. And this is what inspired me to create these frequencies, because it was about, okay, so if I want to get hold of this particular frequency, then all I have to do is tune into that and just allow that to come through. And so that's what happened. And people have, even now I get reports of people telling me how, when they listen to the frequencies, how they feel shifts. And I had initially I had somebody with the adrenal fatigue ones, which is the first lot that we have here included, and he was supposed to go out with his wife, and he thought, okay, I've got half an hour, I'm going to listen to these. And he listened to them and he fell asleep and he couldn't get up because he really, his body needed the healing, you know.
Yes.
So this is the essence of what these frequencies have the potential for. I had somebody else that listened to the self-love, and she lost a whole bunch of weight. So
listening to self-love. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It does.
She just changed her diet from that, or right? Because if we're carrying extra weight because there's a lack of self-love, what happened in her life? Did she just started making different choices because she loves that vessel?
She told me that she hadn't changed much with regards to eating. The weight just fell off. And I mean, obviously, I didn't get more details than that from her, but that was for one person. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you can do a process with the group. Let's do a couple things. You mentioned that you had a simple process for clearing ancestral DNA or just allowing the frequencies. Can we do that as a group?
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
My favorite thing to do.
And then we'll take a few callers on our phone line as well. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so if everyone make sure you're not driving and that, you know, the usual not heavy handling heavy machinery. And if you just think of something that's bothering you right now, and maybe on a scale of 0 to 10, just check in. So 10 being the worst, 0 being nothing at all. And just notice where on the scale of it bothering you is. So just mentally make a note of where that number is. And when you've done that, just close your eyes and just notice your breath. And become aware of how the breath is coming in and out your nose. And you may have sounds around you. And you're breathing. There's no need to control the breath or to do anything with it. Just to allow it to normally at its own pace, go in and out. And then just notice that as you're sitting there, there's space around you. And just become aware of that. So if you're in your house, just notice, or in the office, just notice that between you and where you're sitting in the room, there's a wall. And just notice the space between you and that wall with your eyes closed. This space is a space of infinite possibilities. We spend so much time focusing on objects, our body, the wall, the table, the chair, but we spend very little time in this space. And quantum physics says that this is where the infinite possibilities, the potential, the creative life force energy exists. And this exists inside ourselves too. And while you're noticing the space, just become aware when you think about this issue that we started off with. Where do you feel it inside? Like, is there a tightness somewhere? Is there heat somewhere as you think about it? So you see, by connecting with the space, you've connected with that flame of source energy inside you, because that's the frequency of that. And then you're just tuning in to see where that cloud is of that particular situation. Where is it in your body? And you're just witnessing it in the space. And some people may say, well, I don't feel it. But then you can feel your hand on your leg, or wherever your hand is. You can feel it. It's the same thing. It's like if somebody comes and says something that's hurtful, you feel it in your body. There'll be some sort of swelling or tightness. You just notice, and as you're witnessing it, you may notice it begins to move or dissipate. But it's not because you're looking for it to shift, but because you're coming at it with a frequency of that oneness, that wholeness. So I'm just going to be silent and work silent for 30 seconds or so as you witness this. And just see what's happening. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and take another measurement as to where it's at. So think about the issue. From 0 to 10, and notice if it feels different. And that's where you had no idea that that sensation that you were feeling was connected to some ancestral pattern trauma, where your ancestors may have experienced some anxiety, or anything, or whether it was something to do with your childhood. It didn't really matter to find out. All it needed was that frequency match. So I would love to hear back from everyone and see, I don't know, Lauren, if you have like a chat box or a message that they can type in and say.
Yes, beautiful, Charan. Thank you so much. There was a relationship that I actually put there, but this could be done with anything. This could be a belief system, poverty conscious, lack consciousness. That was really powerful. It does reinforce the infinite possibilities that we are here to create, to feel into that space. I actually loved it, so thank you. And for those who wish to share, please, in the Q&A box or even on our YouTube channel, please go ahead and share any experience that you felt from that or that you yourself witnessed in that. We do have some questions as we wait for some comments to come in. Let's see. This is from Rinske. My past blocks, my attaining, my mastery, and wisdom. I sense this past refers to past life. Would you be able to change that frequency for me so that I can fully blossom?
Thank you for your question, Rinske. What I would suggest is use the process that we've just done. Maybe listen to the replay again and use that to access that shift, because it doesn't matter if it's a past life or, our mind can make it whatever, many things. And it goes beyond the mind, this does. So what I'm saying is, if you do the process as we've done, you will be able to shift it.
Yes, all right. Happy shifting there. Okay, that process, again, it is empowering because we're doing this ourselves. An awareness of this incredible space and an awareness of the feeling, tracking that in our body. And this awareness, would you agree that this awareness is a majority of this work? Like you said earlier, we don't really need to know too deeply on the why or what it is, but there is this awareness that disconnects the energy or it heals it.
Yes, absolutely. In my community, I teach them this 4-step process, which is to have awareness. And this is, alongside the frequencies as well. And I'll explain how. But the awareness itself takes us out of its survival into recognizing that we were in survival. And it allows us to begin to start processing and stepping into a place where we can have that transformation. And the 4-step process is really to have the first is awareness and then it's integration. And the process we've just done is exactly that. It's just that I didn't break it down in so many words, but it was more like to make it more fluent for people. Fluid, sorry, I meant to say. And so we've got integration, and then we've got transformation, and then there's freedom. And so there is this, and the freedom comes from the inside out. And why it's connected with the frequencies is because the first set of frequencies, the adrenal fatigue, takes people out of that survival and into growth. So there's so much stress that we experience in day-to-day life that it getting into the awareness with the frequencies, the adrenal fatigue is about it's getting you out of that survival into that first step. And then the self-love frequencies are there to help people connect with themselves on a very deep level with help, because these frequencies are really embedded with so much. We just had a snippet of that in that process. And then the last one is opening to the I am frequency, and that's the whole process of coming to the freedom. And so I wanted to add that just to bring all of that together.
That is beautiful. Thank you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the frequency package that you've got, because these are transmissions And you've created this, so share a little bit about that, because this is going to tap us into our miracle body. We align our DNA with the miracle body. So let's go over each of these transmissions.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. Like, with the adrenal fatigue, it's helping to shift out of that fight or flight response. And then the self-love is to begin to connect with oneself, connect with that source energy within. And, I say to people, you can say the affirmations. You can have, you can stand in front of the mirror and say, I love myself. But there's usually a voice inside that sort of has this other thought process going on, with, no, but I don't believe myself. I don't believe that. I don't really love myself. But I've got to keep saying I love myself, because if I don't do that, then I'm going to succumb to this other, So there's like a fight going on internally. And my whole thing with the frequencies is really to get people to a place where self-love is who they are. This energy that we have inside of us, this source energy, is self-love. It is self-esteem. It's that inner joy. And so once we step out of the fatigue or the survival aspect, we can open up to that. And once we've done that, then we can open up to the I am frequency, which is really connecting to being that miracle, to being that vessel for this infinite potential within us. And so this is why I've put the frequencies in the order that they are, so that people can move through that into the place of being the miracle.
Move to the place of being the miracle, going so deeply within and allowing ourselves to open up to these frequencies that are already inside us. Okay, so is there any order? You said, start with the adrenals, because it actually removes the stress from our body, and that's the number one cause right there. I mean, that puts us into a brainwave state that keeps us from being relaxed. So I can see how that's important. And so maybe share a little bit about how we can use these. Are they music? Is it just frequencies? Do we hear anything? Is it like encoded music, or what is it like?
Well, they are, when I record them, they're silent tracks. So, but I have embedded them with music, and also ancestral prayers. So I've silently recorded prayers, and these are prayers that are forgiveness. It's forgiveness work. And basically, what they do is is asking Source, asking the Divine to come in and do the work. So, when people listen, they'll hear the music, but there's a lot more going on underneath that.
Truly sound healing. And what we know from sound healing is the intention. The frequencies that you've encoded are literally carried on the sound waves, and that is sound healing. That is really magical. Thank you. We love those. I know you're helping people with this, and we talked a little bit about forgiveness, and you these are encoded with the forgiveness prayer. But that forgiveness is so huge. Maybe you want to talk a little bit more about this, because if we're holding a grudge, it literally is held within the DNA, as you've explained. And so by forgiving someone for no matter how terrible someone could have treated us. That is reclaiming our energy. That is so powerful. It is literally reflected in every cell of our body. What do you have for a forgiveness for people on this forgiveness path? Because it's not easy at all times.
Well, my mom always told me this when I was younger, and she said, the vessel that contains the poison is the poison is going to create problems for that vessel. And she said it more eloquently than I did. But the whole point is that when we have anger and resentment and, all of these things are a frequency and they're contained in our body. And that is, as we're talking about epigenetics, then, the reason I love talking about this is because it really brings science, spirituality, and ancient wisdom all together.
Yes.
And, we know that forgiveness is a good thing. We don't understand the science of it. And this is what it is that when we can do the work, the epigenetic aspects of it is that if we're not doing it, those energies are frequencies of not forgiving somebody, and they then influence our DNA expression. Whereas when we can do it, we shift our DNA expression, and so we go from survival because we're in this state to feeling compassion. And that. But again, it's important to note that the compassion is for oneself. No matter what, it's for oneself. And the other thing with the forgiveness work is that you don't have to feel it. You just have to ask. And this is why the frequencies are embedded with it. It's just asking the divine to come in and do the work. So we don't have to sit there and think about it. It's encoded in the prayer. And it not only includes us, but it includes our ancestors. And it includes any past lives that we've had. It includes all dimensions. And then it also includes times where we have been perpetrators in the past, in any other lifetime. So it's not just about this lifetime, and it's multidimensional.
Oh boy, okay. So, all right, when people do, I can see how these frequencies can help. They do help us with this inner work, and if we clear out past lifetimes that are painful that we may remember, this is going to help do that on that multidimensional level.
You there?
Again, oh yes. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, that was weird. I thought I was muted there, but then I look and I'm not muted. Okay. Well, I was just saying there that this is very interesting because in past lifetimes, as we have memories of past lifetimes, that inner work can get, it could kind of, if we hear of something in Atlantis that comes up, for example, or we don't feel like going to Greece because we remember that Atlantean connection or something from that lifetime, these frequencies are actually going to come and heal and take care of that and even allow us to be further or go deeper in that work and that clearing work. I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we have time for a phone call here. I'd like to go to Randy. I'm going to unmute you, Randy. Hello. Hi, Randy.
Wow.
How are you?
Hi, Ren.
What a brilliant, beautiful opportunity. Can you take a look at my mitochondria, please? And I'll give you a little story out of respect for other people's opportunity. I believe that what I did in my effort to heal a FQAD and the DNA damage from that, was to, like a walk-in phenomenon, I brought in a version of my own soul from when I'm well and overlaid it onto my soul now, which is like what you said about being able to believe. And helping our mitochondria will sure help everyone. I'd like to try to, so I think I straightened out the DNA by doing this somewhat of a walking experience, except I know it's my soul from another time because there's no dual personality. I just know the clairsentience is very clear about it. Anyway, I know I straightened out my DNA this way, and I'm trying to get my mitochondria and my Schwann cells to back up this, more into balance.
So,
where do you go from there? Thank you. I love you.
So I don't look at things again. It comes back to that what I was saying earlier about looking for something. Rather than looking for something, I go straight to source, and that then just sorts things out in a way that I personally have no clue. So this is not discounting any of the things that you said, but it's more about, can we just connect with that? So my question to you is, because I just love to make it really simple. And this is, again, it'll help everyone. So what is it that's really, really bothering you? Like, what's the emotion?
Not being able to walk is or stand for more than a couple minutes is kind of overwhelming.
When did this begin?
13 years ago, I took quinolones, and it's been a downward. It's been progressive since then. The last couple of years, I've been bedridden with it.
Okay. So as you feel this overwhelm, where do you feel it in your body, and what number is it at?
Spine, hips. So at least 3 to 10. Mostly around 6 or 7. Because of what I'm doing. If I'm flat on my back, it's lower. As soon as I try to stand up, it's 6 to 11.
Okay. So as you feel that, can you just take 3 very, very slow breaths? Like, take a minute to do those breaths, and I'm going to work that out, and this will help everybody in the community. Take a minute. Okay, now just check in to see on a scale of 0 to 10 where you're at. Is that small or big or different?
I have to move around. I sense like a wave of grace, like a calming, like all those things that are other than inflammation or other than pain. Like, I don't know how to describe it other than like a wave of grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how do you feel in the body, like the hips and the spine?
I'm on my back, so it's hard to judge. I try not to judge it. because I've been judging it for so long. I know that that's not the way through. So I have this like aversion to judging my pain. So if I don't seem like I'm getting with the program quick enough, it's because I don't move very much.
Yeah. Lauren, are you okay if I do another round?
Absolutely. Randy, we are all holding space for you. So, yes, enjoy this.
I'm sitting up.
Okay, so.
Yay, you're sitting up. Okay. Great.
I
And how's
pain,
that feel?
lower back. Yeah, it's lower back, and the hips are less.
It's less?
The hips are definitely less.
Okay. So let's do another round. So just feel go. What were you going to say?
If I had the strength, if the mitochondria were functioning to turn, so I have energy, then I'd, be able to hold myself. It's like that.
Let go of the mitochondria aspect, because it's not because it may or may not be true. That's not my point of saying that. It's just to say, well, when you let go of that, see what else can come through. And it may be more than what you could imagine. Right?
Yes.
So, after you're there now, so just take 3 slow breaths into your whole body, become aware of your whole body, and just breathe really, really slow. And I'm going to be silent for a minute.
Yeah, breath work has been my lifesaver.
So, slow breath. Okay, see how that feels in your body now. It's more deserved.
Okay. I just stood up again. There's a lot of memory to the sensations too. I'll try not to limit myself to that. I feel lightheaded. I feel more confident. More confidence big.
So, as compared to before, when it was a 10, where would you say you're at now?
3 to 6. Like it varies depending on where I put my attention. If I put, if I bounce around, the number's different. Like I mentioned, I really try not to judge it. So, kind of, you're taking me against my belief system. If I don't seem like I'm doing it fast enough, I'm sorry. I've tried to get away from.
That's important, because judging creates stuckness, and you're doing great with that. So is this different from before? Like what you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, I feel lighter. And I don't mean that in a physical sense. I feel like effervescent, like when the wind moves a flower, and it's got a little, stuff to it. It's not just sitting, or still. It's like yay and wee. I feel more like that.
That's wonderful. Well, this will continue. It's not like, once that energy or frequency has been brought to the surface, it's not like it's going to stop right now. It's going to continue, and you not judging where you're at will allow that to keep moving forward. So and just update Lauren and I and let us know how you get on.
Thank you. And there's so much memory to it, and 13 years of this experience that to shift all of that in a second. I'll stay in touch. My belief system doesn't necessarily include all that yet, but I'm going in that direction. And the best, being able to believe is so much of what of an ingredient in designing and experiencing these opportunities.
Absolutely.
As you stated before, the belief.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. Like I said, I've been dealing with this for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to judge it.
Yeah. And just be with that effervescence and see what unfolds.
It's been beautiful and miraculous. Thank you for being you.
Thank you so much, Randy, for calling in.
Thank you, Randy. And, listen to this process again. The space. You do so much work on yourself, so we are all here witnessing a shift for you, okay?
I feel like a pulsing, and it's sort of like a heartbeat, but it's not a heartbeat. It's more like energy moving in up my spine, like kundalini going up, but it doesn't feel that orgasmic. It feels more like a pulsing of some the wave of grace that we feel move down. This one just not, it's moving up.
Are you sitting right now? Are you sitting up?
I'm laying on my side.
Okay, so you're laying. Okay.
I got up and down twice.
Okay. Well, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Yes, let us know how you do, okay? Thank you.
I'm so grateful. And be love. Want peace,
many
be love.
Blessings. Yeah, many blessings, Randy.
Yes, Randy, thank you. Many blessings. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right, so attuning to the frequencies, clearing the DNA, and getting onward and connecting with Source. We have time for one more caller. Let's go to this web call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Web call? No? Okay.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
hi. Yes, that's you. What's your name?
My name is Tanya.
Tanya?
Yeah.
It's kind of cutting out. Is it just me or... Go ahead. Keep
No,
talking.
it cut out for me too.
Okay. All right, so Tanya, keep talking and let's see. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just love to know if there is some message for me regarding meeting a partner, and also regarding my work on Earth. I work as a healer doing energy work, and at times it feels stuck. Like at times it's flowing and kind of feel stuck. So I'm wondering, and also I feel there are places within myself that should be healed. Yeah, if there is some advice and help.
So where, if this, does this resonate with you, that there's a sense of being stuck overall?
Yeah, perhaps, and I feel that my biggest pain is about love and like partnership, meeting my partner, and I feel that it kind of prevents me maybe from sharing more fully my gifts, because I wish also to have a partner and family.
So when you say you have a pain about not finding your love, where do you notice that in your body?
It's in my heart.
Okay. So on a 0 to 10 level, 10 being the worst, where is it at?
Like 10.
Okay. So can you just take 3 slow breaths and just breathe really, really slow? Take a minute to do those. I'm going to work silently and see where we're at after that, okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So take 3 slow breaths, please.
Oof.
Slow, slow breaths. If you can be slower than that, please. Okay, now just check in and see if it's smaller, bigger, or different in that region of your body.
It feels less now, and part of my thinking is that I've been like releasing so much pain and like crying already, and it feels like it's almost endless at times. And I currently also have a bit of fever, and I wonder if it's psychosomatic. It feels like a bottomless issue,
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
So that's the next layer, that it's like this endless pit. Where do you feel that?
Yeah. Yuck. Where do I feel? Yeah, it's in the heart.
It's
Hello?
still in the heart, or is it somewhere else?
Maybe more in the throat area.
Okay. So this is like what I was talking about.
Like disbelief.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is what I was talking about earlier about, the clouds around our body. So it's like it's shifted one particular cloud around the heart, and now it's going into the next layer, which is around the throat. So just take 3. We'll do this last round. 3 slow breaths, and just breathe very, very slowly. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now feel, is it smaller, bigger, or different?
Yeah, I think it's a bit less, but I still feel a little tension there in the throat. Perhaps a bit less. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll do one more round because of time, and then see how it feels. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Very important to do them slow breaths. Like be really, really slow with them. Okay, just notice now, is it smaller, bigger, or different in that throat?
It's different. Yeah.
Okay. And that will continue to keep
like
shifting.
there's more movement.
More movement, you said?
Sorry? I said it feels like more movement.
Yeah, more movement.
I said
okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of cutting out there. Sorry.
Yeah, so it will keep moving. Just stay with that. Just like we did with Randy, that, he wasn't judging what's there. Just stay with that. It will keep moving. And it's like you're shifting things from the inside out now, rather than sort of looking for things on the outside to fix something in the inside. So by doing it this way, who knows what will happen, right? But it's more about you feeling satisfied with how things are and happy with the things that are naturally, not like from the brain that, I've got to think that I'm okay with this. But this is more like, actually, I am okay with whatever it is. And as you do that, then things on the outside will shift as well. And definitely listen to the replay and go through the process again. Okay?
Yes, thank you so much. And the fever is connected with this release, I believe, right? It just
I couldn't hear the question.
Did you say that you'll still be connected?
That I have a bit of that the fever is probably connected with psychosomatic process.
A psychosomatic process? Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Yeah, the fever that I have a bit.
Oh, I see. Okay. It could be, lots of things. I don't know. Because, like I say, I don't like to go into that. I like to stick with the other frequency of the ultimate. And that can create all sorts of things. And one of the things I do know is that when there is increase in temperature, obviously not dangerous temperature, but maybe in a body part or something like that, it's usually alchemy happening. So just let it be. Yeah.
Thank you, Tanya. Yes, okay. Alchemy happening with this awareness and attunement to frequencies within our body. We are literally changing from the inside out, from a DNA level. Well, my guest today, Charan Sudhar, is making a special offer available with the frequencies, and we invite everyone to check that out. It is at acoustichealth.com/special offers/ Charan, and we hope that you enjoy a personal session with her and also those frequencies. Charan, did you want to add anything about the personal session?
Well, it's like we've experienced on the call today that just when people have the sessions, there's another level of the shifting because there's a connection with their frequency, in that I can help with exactly what we've done on the call today. Mm-hmm. And it's, for me, I know that with clients that I've had, I had another client with psoriasis, and she went through the process, and she'd used all the creams, she'd done everything, and then the psoriasis had gone. Now again, I don't say that I'm treating anything. I'm not treating anything, but what my job is really to help people raise the frequency of their selves to that source, to that infinite possibilities, and then witness what happens after that. And so the process of the one-to-one session is really to do that.
Perfect. Happy witnessing and shifting. Thank you so much for that special offer. You've got frequencies in there, and you've got the option to add a personal and a private session with you. Thank you so much for that. Well, we really thank you for your time today. I wanted to circle back and let you know that Rinske did say that, yes, that was done in the group shifting. It started with severe pressure on the left side of the head, the temple, and as soon as you asked us to think of the issue, by the end of the process, the pressure was completely gone. And we love hearing testimonials like that, witnesses like that, because it helps all of us better understand this alchemy that's happening within ourselves, and it's unique to each of us. So isn't that brilliant and beautiful?
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you, Rinske, for sharing.
Charan, thank you so much for being here. I loved our conversation. We've got comments coming in that you explained it so well. And the last question is this permanent healing?
Great question. And the answer is that what I said earlier, when we release our past, then we shift timelines, which means that the past no longer influences us. And so that's exactly what it is that, it is a real shift from the inside out. If your perception changes, you're not going to go back to the old, because if there was something ancestral there, it's not like you're going to go pick it up again, because it's not there. And that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty. Perfect. It really is disconnecting from the energetics of our DNA and those memories and that pain or the belief systems. It's beautiful work, and I'm so pleased that you are on a mission to really bring this forward and take it as far as you can take it in your field of possibilities. Thank you so much, Charan.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the listeners and all the callers. And it was a true honor to be here and witness this miraculous energy amongst the whole group. Thank you so much.
Yes, miraculous energy indeed. Well, this has been a beautiful quantum conversation, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll have you back again. Thank you, Charan, for this quantum conversation. All right, we now are going to dance our way to the cosmic heart. Just have a little fun as we can feel these frequencies and we move just a little bit. for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe, music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.